tensions between the military and the Prime Minister. He seemed to come out with some pretty strong language, slapping down some of his military leaders. What is going on in terms of how the military, how the Prime Minister and his team are thinking about this conflict against Hamas?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable to see all of this out in the open, Tom. And definitely what you're seeing now is an emerging wedge between what some military officials within the Israeli army are saying versus the official government stance. And what we're talking about here is an interview that one of the Israeli admirals gave to Israeli TV yesterday, in which he stated that to say that the goal of simply allowing Hamas to disappear would be like throwing sand in the face of the public, i.e., what he's saying is that their objective, their stated objective of completely allowing for Hamas to be destroyed and neutralized, which is what the government has been consistently saying since the last October 7, since the war started, since October 7, is something that is unachievable. And of course, the Israeli Prime Minister was quick to clap back, saying that we cannot leave Gaza until all of the hostages are returned, and we've also succeeded in eliminating and neutralizing Hamas. And therefore, the fact that the military are saying that one of those objectives seems to be unachievable removes one of the bargaining chips that Israel and Netanyahu have in these ceasefire discussions. Because you will remember, Tom, when we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, the key of the passage of moving from phase 1 to phase 2, that temporary ceasefire to a permanent ceasefire, was contingent on Israel believing that that Hamas's full military capabilities had been neutralized. And if the military don't believe that that's achievable, then it raises questions about all of these discussions that are on the table vis-a-vis that ceasefire deal as well. So very interesting wedge emerging between the two sides.
Yeah, indeed. And it was interesting to see those military leaders, or that military leader as well, essentially echoing, as you say, what we've been hearing from the US in terms of their concerns that ultimately Hamas cannot be completely defeated. When it comes to the northern border, then, Israel's northern border with Lebanon, tensions there, we know, according to reporting, that Israel's military is drawing up plans in terms of a potential offensive against Hezbollah. What is the latest in terms of what's happening in that particular part of the geography?
That's right. So U.S. envoy to the region, Amos Hochstein, has been touring several countries. He was in Lebanon and most recently met with Israeli officials. And the purpose of those discussions were obviously to push forward with those ceasefire talks, in addition to talk about how they can supply further humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. And then the third pillar has been looking to de-escalate the tensions on the Lebanon border. There have been daily crossfires, exchange of fires. There's been rockets fired from both sides ever since October 7. But the major difference, Tom, is that in the last few days, the rhetoric has really escalated. We heard from Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah a couple of days ago. He gave a televised address warning Israel about the potential for a ground offensive into Lebanon, saying that they would not hold back in that situation. Also threatened Cyprus, saying that if Cyprus were to offer Israel some military support in terms of air bases, then they would not be spared too. So very fighting words from the Hezbollah chief. And of course, Israeli officials have responded. They too are saying that they are ready and willing to start with that offensive in the northern border. But this, of course, as those mediation efforts continue, as I spoke about, Amos Hochstein has been in the region trying to calm down the situation. But what Israeli press are saying yesterday is that the talks vis-a-vis Lebanon have reached somewhat of a dead end. So it does feel as though if things are going to blow up on that border, it should happen in the coming days. So we're keeping a close eye on the situation there.